I'm also recognizing a possible, from what I hear from other people talking and my own experiences, there's definitely a racial issue in the city, if not in the entire United States, that needs to be taken care of and addressed. I know it makes people uncomfortable, but I truly believe there is a racial situation here that we need to start loving one another.
So Bob, thank you for one of your solutions. Let's dig a little bit deeper into what you just said. You believe there's a racial issue.
Yes.
What do you believe the issue is?
I don't know. Being as I was raised out on the corner of 28th and K, and that was a long time ago. And that's, if you know where 28th and K Street in San Diego is, you know, it's a mixed group. There were Hispanics and a lot of Armenians and a lot of course, whites and blacks. And then parents of that time brought up a lot of racial issues too. But a lot of the issues that took place in the city of La Mesa, I feel, were based on race. And from the talk of what people being stopped for being black in a car, it just doesn't seem right. I've met more recently with several persons of color, and I work with people at the gym all the time with the same issue. So I talk about it with them. And yes, they all recognize that there's a racial problem. Don't know what to do about it. You can't make people like people. But
so what I'm hearing from you is that people of color believe that they're being treated differently or worse because of their skin color by members of law enforcement. That's what I'm yes. hearing you. That's what I'm hearing.
I think that's true.
Okay. Also, and to add to that, I want to give people another angle on what Bob is saying. Sometimes it's not just about we're focused on the quote unquote victims. Sometimes the victims are the people who are saying that there's a problem due to race. Far too often, we pay attention to the people who are making a point of the way law enforcement is treating them. We don't seem to be paying attention to the race of the officers. We spend time paying attention to the race of the people who are talking about law enforcement. And I bring that up because we've had a lot of young people in communities of color suggest that perhaps only officers of color should come into their neighborhood. Right? I'm repeating what they're saying, Bob. Only officers of color should come into their neighborhood because the problems that they have are with the white officers. Now, I understand that thought process, but I've also made it clear to them that you could try that, but it's going to cause other problems. And due to a lack of members of law enforcement, depending on what city you're in, you don't have as many black cops, brown cops, again, depending on what city you're in, compared to white cops. So it's difficult to do that, number one. And number two, the more we isolate ourselves, the more we say, you guys stay over here, you girls stay over here, that causes more problems when we're not interacting with one another, when we're not spending time with one another. And they hadn't thought of that, but that's probably why we're in the situation that we're in this country in the first place, because this country was set up for us to live in segregated neighborhoods and not with one another. That's caused a majority of the problems. I see Bob nodding his head. Again, Bob's the oldest guy on this call, so he's seen more than most of us on this call. You want to comment on anything that I've said, Bob, before I get to Armani?
No, I'm fine with it. I think you've hit it, though. The fact that I'm talking with a bunch of groups and different groups that I've been with, and I've said, you know what? I choose the neighborhood I live in because I just happen to like the neighborhood. When I was living down on 28th and K Street, that was the neighborhood I lived in. But there were, I don't know whether people of color choose to live in their own neighborhood because of that or because it's by finance. We don't know the reason for it. worked with people in Logan Heights, and a lot of Hispanics in that particular area. And there were some challenges in that too. So do people migrate to their own color? I hope not. But maybe that's what's caused it. If you choose your friends by who you're around, you don't run into a different neighborhood and say, I want to be your friend. And neighborhoods need to spread out a little bit. I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well, thank you for that, Bob. There's a lot of reasons why people live where they live. Some people don't have a choice. Some people do have a choice. And we've had laws and policies in place that keep people from living in certain places. We all know that. And if you don't know that, you need to research that. So there's a number of reasons of why people live where they live, but in a perfect society, our government and government representatives should be treating all of us as equal citizens under the law. And we know that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen all the time.